Chapter 109. Arranged Marriage Candidate. "Ava, are you feeling better?" Stella asked with concern. The worry in her eyes didn't seem fake. Ava wouldn't reject someone being friendly to her. She maintained the same sweet smile as before, speaking gently. "Nothing serious. The doctor said I just need to rest for a couple days." "Then, which hospital are you at now?" Stella ventured cautiously. Her second brother had been going crazy looking for Ava these past few days. If only they'd known not to let their mother say those things in the hospital room. Now it had come to this. "I'm not in the hospital. I'm recovering at home." At those words, Stella instinctively looked at Adrian Pierce sitting across from Ava. Her brother had been to the Hart house more than once. Ava wasn't there at all. She wasn't at her villa in Imperial Gardens either. The only explanation was she was at Adrian's place. Shock flashed through Stella's heart. Seeing the three of them eating dinner, Stella didn't say more. She turned back to Maxwell, and they walked together toward their private room. "Maxwell, should I text Wesley?" Stella was torn. Maxwell pursed his lips and shook his head. "They're not compatible. They would have broken up eventually." "How are they incompatible? I think they're perfect together." Stella was somewhat dissatisfied with her brother's words. It was just because Ava couldn't have children. Stella looked at Maxwell's profile and sighed heavily in her heart. Wesley wasn't very happy during his relationship with Ava. Even if Ava could have children, the problems between them would still exist. Ending it now is the best outcome. Maxwell naturally didn't tell his sister about investigating Ava. Ava was hypocritical and selfish, while his brother had a sincere heart. Perhaps at first he'd accept Ava's imperfections out of love, but Wesley was a perfectionist by nature. What Wesley liked was the Ava he'd first met. Kind, lively, positive, and bright. But such an Ava never existed in the world. Wesley simply couldn't accept the real Ava. Otherwise, they wouldn't have become like this in less than a year and a half together. Very unlike Wesley. But they love each other. Can't love overcome all obstacles? Stella looked up, her eyes showing confusion. Maxwell shook his head. Love can't overcome all obstacles. Mom and Dad have such a good relationship because their family backgrounds are equal, their upbringings are the same, and their values align. Stella nodded with only partial understanding. "Don't go pick up Lily so often from now on." After dropping Lily off at the orphanage, Ava looked at Adrian beside her, her tone taking on some seriousness. Adrian looked at her questioningly. "She's 6 now. She remembers things. The more often you pick her up, the higher her expectations of you will become. When you get married and have children later, when you have your own family and kids, you won't be able to visit her often. She'll be disappointed." A faint emotion rose in Ava's eyes. "You need to let her learn independence." Adrian's lips curved slightly. "The way you talk, I sound like some heartless cad." Ava grumbled internally. Wasn't he heartless enough to Grace? "Would you do that?" Adrian's non sequitur left Ava completely confused. "I mean, when you get married, would you stop visiting Lily?" "Of course not. I'm not having children anyway." In the dim light, disappointment flashed in Ava's eyes. She looked at the orphanage entrance, seeming to still hear the children playing inside. That fire had stripped away her right to be a mother. I won't have children either." The faint male voice dissipated in the air. Ava was utterly shocked. She turned to look at Adrian. "Do you have a condition?" Ava's expression was completely serious. With such a large Pierce Group empire, if Adrian wasn't having children, he must have some medical issue, right? Adrian's face darkened. "So, you're allowed not to have children? But I'm not?" He snorted coldly and grabbed Ava's neck to turn her around. "Let's go home." "Go home, then." Why was he grabbing her neck? Ava smiled sweetly and hugged Adrian's waist. "Adrian, you hurt my neck. Can you let go?" "Someone with a medical condition can still hurt you?" What a petty man. Ava rested for about half a month. On the day she recovered, her father actually called her. Ava leaned out to look at the balcony. No red rain, no hail either. What was up with her father? "Come home for dinner tonight. I have something to say." With that, he hung up without waiting for her response. Ava felt utterly baffled. The next second, Lena sent her a link. She clicked it to find Hart Group had released a statement saying Grace and Adrian had terminated their engagement. The statement simply explained that the original alliance was because Hart Group had faced a crisis. Now that the crisis was resolved, she and Adrian had no feelings for each other. They'd ultimately agreed to cancel the marriage. That's what the statement said, but Ava knew it wasn't true. Grace loved Adrian to the point of losing herself. She was probably afraid Adrian would be criticized, so the statement was worded this way. No wonder her father had called her. Losing such a golden son-in-law, her father was probably furious. At this thought, Ava immediately jogged into the bedroom, heading straight for the walk-in closet. Time to go home and watch the show. When Ava got home, she immediately sensed something was off about the atmosphere. Mrs. Quinn hurried over and pulled her to the back garden. Sir and Madam had a fight. This news was like a bomb, leaving Ava stunned. Her mother had changed? She actually dared fight with her father? Truly extraordinary. It seems Sir found out you broke up with the Hale boy and wants to arrange a marriage for you. The person he chose? Mrs. Quinn paused and sighed. The person isn't very good. He arranged a marriage candidate for me? Ava frowned. What was Philip Hart thinking? Grace and Adrian had broken up. He was afraid no one would support Hart Group in the future. But he didn't want to wrong his precious daughter Grace, so he was using her instead. Philip Hart was really underestimating her. If she didn't want to marry someone, no one could make her. Sir said there's a guest coming for dinner tonight. It's probably the marriage candidate he wants you to meet. Do you want to leave first and come back in a couple days? Mrs. Quinn said worriedly. Ava waved her hand. It's fine, Mrs. Quinn. I'm also curious what kind of person my father thinks I'm worthy of. At dinner, Ava looked at the fat, big-eared man across from her who kept giving her lecherous looks. She suddenly began to regret staying for this meal. This kind of trash, even if he pursued her, she wouldn't give him a chance. Yet her father wanted her to marry him. Ava finally couldn't hold back and put down her chopsticks. I'm done eating. I'm going back now. Philip Hart looked up and barked sharply. Sit down.